What's up, people? This is Mark Jackson. Welcome to the Mark Jackson Show. And you know who we have here. We got the guy. We got the personality. We got the shooter. My guy, Georges Bing Bang Niang. What's up, brother? How are you?
Appreciate you having me on.
All love, brother.
Yeah,
all love. Listen, so forget all the stats, forget all the accolades, forget the bang bang thing, forget all that. Forget all that. Let's talk about you as the person, bro. Because I'm from Philly. People in Philly want to know about George, like off the court. Like we see your personality. The fans love you. Are definitely 100% the crowd favorite here. Like, let's talk about that. Where did your personality come from? Because respectfully from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So like, you're not from a big city. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I grew up in a small town called Methuen in Massachusetts, like 20 minutes north of Boston. So it'd just be like any suburb outside of Philadelphia. So being in Philly, I kind of feel like I'm at home. You know, I'm from a city that's a blue collar city, and I definitely feel like I fit in with the Philadelphia people. I even joke around and say, like, Philadelphia people probably look at me and are like, oh, that's my chance to play professional sports. I kind of look like him. I talk shit like him. So
exactly.
I could be one of them. So I think that's one of the things that helps me here is that I'm relatable. I don't have a huge ego. I feel like I'm pretty humble. You can catch me. I wouldn't say South Street, but you catch me, out in Philly, you just eating, doing whatever, just being a regular human. I think that's relatable, and these fans like that.
So, I mean, speaking of food, I mean, have you had a cheesesteak yet?
I have. I've had a bunch of them. You couldn't tell.
Well, so what? Let's get okay. Give me your what's your cheesesteak spot?
Okay, so cheesesteak 100% got to be D'Alessandro.
Okay, my man.
Yeah.
My man. Okay.
You know, Jim's on South Street was good. You know,
nice.
Unfortunately,
They're opening back up soon, though.
Oh, they are.
They're opening back up soon in the summer.
Well, Ish Kabibbles is up there too.
Oh, okay.
And my favorite pizza spot is Angelo's, but they also make a good cheesesteak there too. So
not bad. Los Angeles. You know, everybody speaks of Dallas. I got a sleeper for you. Gotta go with security though. It's called Max's at Broad and Erie.
Really?
Max is pretty nice. You gotta taste for security.
Okay.
Going on Marc car, you know, just kind of, just be safe. But it's my spot. It's in North Philly. I love it. So, transition from food. Let's talk about your personality. Like you on the court, you talk shit. You smack. You kind of get the crowd hype. Like, where does that come from? Like, tell me about you growing up basketball wise. How did you get that hunger, that personality to you as a basketball?
You know, I think, growing up, like I said before, I don't really fit the mold as someone who looks like a basketball player, right? I mean, I'm just going to keep it real on what people tell me from the outside. So I've been told no my whole career. Like, you're not going to do this. You're not going to make your travel team. You're not good enough to play Division I. You'll never make it to the NBA. And after a while, you get fed up of people telling you no, and you'll be like,
ticked off.
Motherfucker, I'm showing you. So that's kind of like the chip on my shoulder that I like roll with is I still have that anger or resentment from like my 7th grade coach telling me I wasn't going to make the travel team in the 8th grade. So it's just something that I carry with when I play, and I think that gives me that edge on the court where it's just like, I don't care who you are. I'm not afraid. These big moments don't scare me. Either they're going to happen or they're not, or I'm going to have to go work on it and make sure that it happens the next time. So those moments don't scare me. I'm going to go out there and give you 100%. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to keep giving you 100%. So it's just my personality is me. I love to talk, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, that's cool.
But so I never stop talking. So it's just trash talking is an art. I've been around some good trash talkers in my day. So it's just another added element to my game.
So now, because I respectfully, we kind of similar. I couldn't jump over yellow pages. I couldn't run, couldn't beat a Snell in a race, but I was a trash talker, bro. So like, tell me in your experience so far. But before we get to that, let's talk about you're known as a shooter now.
Yeah.
But you wasn't always a shooter. You was a scorer.
Yeah.
So tell me about how did you transition to high school and then to college for 4 years? Did you go to tournament for all 4 years?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean,
I'm busting your
chops. We just do what they do.
Yeah.
So tell me, because this is a part that a lot of people don't know when it comes to NBA. I have a thing. Tell me what's your thoughts on this. Is you have to come and being able to do a lot of things. Then once you get to a particular ball club, they say, we need you to do this.
Yeah.
Like, so tell me, before we get to the NBA, tell me about college and high school, because you was a big time scorer. Like, how was that transition first from high school and how you ended up at Iowa? Yeah. And then tell me about that.
Yes. So, obviously style of play. I mean, I was, skilled as a big man. So we started off playing on the block, and then once I was able to show that I could dribble, playing with dribble handoffs and taking bigger guys that weren't as skilled out on the perimeter and being able to make threes, it allowed me to set up dribble drives, driving past people. So I was more used as what they called in college, Fred Hoiberg, as like a hybrid, someone that could, bring the ball up as like a center. I'm not going to say I was, Jokic or Joel because that's like extreme, right? But I was using a different sense where I was handling the ball and it was like an inverted offense, with the bigs outside rather than back when you played, it was like we're going to play through the big,
Exactly.
the whole time. So that's how I was in college. I was allowed to take as many dribbles as I wanted to. I could pump,
Freedom.
pump fake, shoot whenever I wanted to, and then when you get to the NBA, it's like whoa, 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 whoa. So I was telling someone the other day, I was like, NBA teams have like 6 to 8 roles that they need guys to fill, whether that's a rebounder, a passer, a scorer, a 3-point shooter, a defender. And if you want to play every night and you want to have a lengthy career, you got to find out how you can fit one of them. So my first year, I was in Indiana. I tried to do the same thing I did in college, and I ended up getting cut after my first year. So that really didn't work out for me. So me being like, okay, what can I do right away that will get me a chance to stick in the NBA? And I was able to sign on with Golden State, and I got to see how Steph, Clay, Draymond, Kevin Durant, how they work. It made me realize I need a routine. So what was I thinking? All right, I'm not the most athletic. I'm not the fastest, but making corner threes, every team needs guys to space the floor. So I started there, and in Santa Cruz, I was lucky enough to get a call up from the Utah Jazz, and I remember Quinn Snyder, and I'm so thankful that he was the one to coach me and kind of like mentally school me to the game on how the NBA works. And he was like, "Hey, listen, you're really skilled. I like having you as a person on this team. The way you're going to get on the court is you're going to have to make corner threes and not let guys drive by you on the other end." So he was like, "All right, start running to the corner. This coach will pass you the ball." And I just shot corner threes for my first 3 years in the NBA. And the evolution of making shots, you make enough threes, people are going to start guarding you, and that creates gravity where you're creating space for your teammates. And
Mhm.
the more threes you make, the more people want you. So
That's very true. Floor spaces always need to be the taken, and
yeah.
that's what it is. So how do you? Let's compare the game. So now it was funny. It was funny. So I feel as though I know when I played, it was still like traditional bigs and all that. But what I've noticed is uh, Don Nelson was the first one that told me in a workout in the summer, and Herb Brown, which is Larry Brown's brother,
Yeah.
because I always could shoot, but I was so instilled to not go to that 3-point line. It's like, Mark, take one more step back. I'm like, no, no, no. My childhood coach would be mad at me.
You had trauma,
And
right?
like, yo, like I said, no, no, no. It's like a trauma, PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, no. I had to step 1 foot in. But it's funny. So how do you compare the game now? Do you like the game now with it's either three or a layup? There's not much mid range being played in the NBA, no matter what teams. Everybody's trying to copy that.
Right.
How do you feel about the game? How do you think how do you think the way it's looking? Is it for the better, for the worse, or what do you like?
I think it's entertaining, right? Obviously the way y'all played games were in the 80s. I don't know if
Nah,
anybody.
I ain't that old. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
I was about 10. What's
nah. No, but I mean, people want to see scoring, and that's exciting. But as you know, the playoffs are a totally different game than the regular season. So there's a ton of threes being shot during the regular season and
Yep.
layups, and that's kind of where the game's trending. But in the playoffs, it's whoever can make that mid-range shot and consistently. That's kind of where the game goes. With that being said, the pace and space, the three points and the layups are kind of the way the game is going, and I think it's healthy for the game. Obviously, younger kids, I don't love going to AU tournaments and seeing kids just shoot the ball from. I mean, it's an art that has to be practiced, and
Yeah.
there's a reason behind it because you want guys to practice 3-point shots, but not just throwing 3-point shots up there. Back in your day, right? You talked about it. Like,
Back in the Stone
no,
Age.
no, like you look at it like I
Yeah.
grew up watching the Celtics. Like Mark Blount was like lethal from like
Yes.
15, 16
Yes.
feet. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
you think about those guys, like no big guys. Then nobody's ever letting a big guy shoot that shot unless you're Joel, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's kind of the only guy. So, you know, a part of me is like, yes, it is healthy, and I'm obviously happy because I'm a power forward. And back in the day, power forwards were like 7 foot, banging
Exactly.
down below.
250.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of happy the game has transitioned in that way. It's given me an opportunity. But I do miss seeing the mid range being art. Like you talk about that Rip Hamilton,
Yeah, bro.
working on his mid range, and it's an art to be in that small of a space and still be able to get your shot off and make shots in that close quarters.
Let's talk about the life of NBA player. Let's talk about Utah. spent a lot of time in Utah. I mean, so Philly, Utah, a little bit different. Like,
yeah, just a little bit.
Just a tad bit. So, like, how was it when you? Was it? You think it was comparable to living in Iowa? Was it much different? Like, what's your thing?
You know, Iowa was really different compared to any place I've ever lived. But I love my experience in Iowa. Utah was Utah was different, right? You know, but I loved my time out there. You know, you have the mountains, you have Park City, Salt Lake City is great. The people, you know, are unbelievable. You know, they genuinely care about you on and off the court. The organization over there was tremendous. And it was just you're driving down the highway and it's like you're driving by a mural. It's like you can't put into words how breathtaking the views are in Utah. So it was an awesome experience. And then coming back towards home in the Northeast,
Yeah.
you know, in Philadelphia was kind of like a breath of fresh air. Like my chapter had closed in Utah, and you know, being close to home and being in a city where you know it's a sports town, and that's what you know. People don't understand the work that goes in behind the scenes to be a professional athlete, and you really are appreciated in Philly. Yes, there are moments where they will be hard on you, and they will tell you what they really feel. But if you bring a championship home to Philly, you will be loved forever, and that's something that I think our team right now is motivated to do. Is you know to be appreciated by the city because I'll never have to buy a beer here ever again.
And look out for you. So when you talk about that, let's talk about the difference in fan base.
Yeah.
Like Utah's known having a great fan base.
Yeah.
They get that crowd in every game. And then you got Philly that gets the crowd in, but it's a different kind of crowd, different kind of atmosphere. Can you talk about the difference in the Utah atmosphere versus the Philadelphia atmosphere as far as in arena?
Yeah, Utah, you know, say you're down 10 and then the other team goes on an 8-0 run and then you're down 18. Utah may give you like a boost and cheer you on. If you're in Philly and you go down 18 after being down 10, you will get booed. And that's just the fact of the matter is. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The reason why I respect it is, you know, like I said, Philly is a blue collar, you know, hard hat. People work hard for what they have. And I respect it because I'm sure there is a carpenter or an electrician that's there that makes $80,000 a year and spent an arm and a leg on tickets, and he wants to see the best performance out of Georges Niange or X player. And if he doesn't feel like he's getting that, you know, he's feeling like he's getting ripped off. And I understand that there's 82 games. Sometimes I'm not going to have my best game, but you're never going to be able to question how hard I play. And I think being in Philly compared to Utah, you know, that's the standard is that you may not have it every night, but if you're gonna go out there and give your all, talk shit, dive on the floor, you know, be you, I think Philly embraces that, and I think it challenges players to come in every night and give their all. Like the whole prima donna being too cool, that's not gonna work in this city. So
Right about that. So when you came, you signed as a free agent, correct?
yeah,
So you haven't had the experience of being traded.
no, I have not. Have
Yeah.
you? Have you been
I've
traded?
been traded 5 times. Listen though,
You just
two-
can't good.
listen. 2 was orchestrated by me. Like I swear to God, one story was I'm playing for the Nets, and we're a good team, but I was playing for Lawrence Frank, who kind of he had this thing. He would play the sixth, seventh, and eighth guy. He would play for like 10 games. They'd bring another six, seven, eighth guy 3 games. He rotated him, and I got irritated with that, bro. So I remember we was playing on
Demanded
Hornets.
a trade, huh?
Yeah,
You're
listen,
one of those
listen,
guys, huh?
listen how smooth I was, though. But it's respectful. Look how smooth I was. So we playing against the Hornets. Byron Scott's coaching the Hornets. And it's a pregame warm up, and you know they center had just got hurt. It was PJ Brown, I think, or they power forward just got hurt.
Oh, PJ Brown.
And they had their media guys on the court doing a pregame show, right? And we about to warm up. And I don't know what's his name, went to hey yo, tell Coach Scott to come get me. He's like, what? Just tell Coach Scott, Marc Jackson said, come get me. 10 days later, I was traded to the Hornets.
Wow.
True story.
That's
I was trying to get it. So like it might have been tampering. I think, but, you know, I mean, you need something, you want something to be done, you gotta go do it yourself. So
sure.
and I went there, started playing immediately. It was a good story, and we ended up being a pretty good team. Chris Paul's rookie year, so that was pretty good. Chris Paul, man, he was a good teammate, man. People always ask me who's the toughest tenacious player I ever played with or against. I was on Chris Paul. Like, what do you mean? He says, you play with AI, you play with KG. I said, listen, Chris is pissed at everybody. When a game, and he's the nicest guy off the court, but when he walks in that court, Chris is pissed at you. He's pissed at the referees. He's pissed at the coach. He's pissed at the fans. So that's why I say he was just. I loved his mentality was just be mean and everybody's against him, and he played with that chip on his shoulder. With your experience, who would you say in the league for you has been the toughest player you ever guarded or played with?
Wow, that's a pretty loaded
Yeah,
question
boy.
right there. Well, going back to thinking of when I was first in the NBA. Obviously, I was lucky enough to play with, Paul George, Jeff Teague, Miles Turner, those guys, and then I was transitioned over to Utah with Donovan and Rudy, and then I don't want to say you get the real superstars, but you play with household names like James,
Yeah.
Joel, and playing with Joel is a treat because rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, but he is like a 7 foot Kobe Bryant. His footwork, his dribbling, and he's that skilled that he's the only person I've played with that just demands a double team just by his 2 feet being
Yeah.
on the court. And it's extremely impressive. Then you add James into the mix of that, and you have another dynamic player that can score, but also is a savant with passing the ball. Um, and I would say those two are the two most skilled, players that I've ever played with. Hands down, not even close. Um, but I will give PJ Tucker his credit. I know you brought up Chris Paul.
Yeah.
PJ Tucker, after playing against him and playing with him,
Uh-huh.
I hated playing against him because he is just that nag, that competitive asshole that is just always doing dirty, not dirty shit, but
Grab your jersey, make
hit
sure
you
you give you one
here,
of these,
hit
Jay.
there. Yeah, he just knows the ins and outs of what he can get away with. Where you're trying to tell the ref, like, he just hit me in my
Yeah.
nuts. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's getting away with it. So now that I get to play alongside him, I would have to say he's, his competitive juices, how he gets going and the way he plays, that kind of reminds me of what it's not
Okay.
like all star,
Yep.
but you
Nope.
know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like in a competitive way. I would
I
say
got
out of the people that I've played with, the superstars that I've played with are, I wouldn't say nonchalant, but
you.
they're
I got
just that much more skilled than everybody
Yeah.
else. That they don't have the CP3 asshole ish.
Yeah.
You know.
So motivation. What was your biggest? And I know motivation sometimes change over our lifetime. But when you were younger, what was your motivation? And as you got older now, what is your motivation to be successful in the game?
When I was growing up, I think it was because everybody, like I told you before, everybody was telling me, no, you're not good enough. You're this, you're that. So that just used to replay in my head. I was like, I'm doing it for that guy that told me I'd never make it to the NBA when he asked me what I wanted to be, and I was like an NBA player, and he was like, be serious. Give me a serious answer.
What's your second option?
Yeah, exactly. And I just always felt growing up like my basketball career, people would always snicker at or laugh at. And I mean, that's a battle that I still fight today. I mean, I'll listen to broadcasts and people be like, yeah, I don't know how he's playing in the NBA and da 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 da. And you're just like, no, you don't want to give me any credit, but that's what keeps me going is like, that's just another person that, I got to prove wrong or cross off the list. And, I think I've come to a point, I mean, you can probably agree with this, like when you have financial security
Yeah.
and you're comfortable with who you are, your motivation changes, right? Because you have happiness outside of the
Yes.
game that you love. And I think my motivation has transitioned to let me be a role model. Let me show the kids where I come from because I didn't have anybody to look up to that anything is possible. If you look at me when I was in the second grade or third grade, you wouldn't have been like, hey, that's the kid that's going to the NBA. So I just want to show kids, and that's my motivation to wake up and continue to grow and be better is to show the kids where I grew up that, you can do this. Yes, there are days that you're going to doubt yourself. I don't know if this is the right dream for me, but I promise you, if you continue to grind and have grit, that when it's all said and done, all the trials and tribulations, the tough times, it'll be worth it.
Okay, great. If you were not playing basketball, what do you think? What is your other passions? I mean, I won't bring it up, but somebody made a TikTok thing about this man But yeah, I mean, I want to bring it up. Like, you know, he's kind of a ladies' man, ladies. You know what I mean? So, like, I mean, you can get a spread, you get a shout out from GQ. I mean, you in the fashion a little bit. I mean, tell me, Playboy, what's going on? Like, so are you in fashion? What's up?
No, I mean, I don't know if I'm too big in fashion. I got a couple hobbies. I like to golf. I like to hang out with my family. I just recently got into broadcasting. I do a little podcasting, so maybe we could start our own show sometime.
No, we can do it.
But you know, I think after my first couple of years in the NBA, I kind of have grown to have a passion for real estate.
Okay.
Getting involved in that field has kind of excited me. I have family members that are involved in real estate, and life is like a big game of Monopoly. The more properties you own, the better off it is. Sometimes it's not the best to have the most capital. It's the best to have the most property. That also pays. So, the life lessons of that have, really helped me understand what real estate really is. And I've enjoyed that. And I'm sure that will be a passion of mine, moving forward after the game. But I'm infatuated with basketball. I mean, I go home, I watch basketball.
Oh, you want to still a jump? Still a jump?
Yeah, like March Madness. I had the NBA TV package, so I'm watching all the games. I'm not one of those guys.
You get that for discount though.
Yeah, right. I'm not one of those guys that just goes home and is like, I don't watch the game. Like I really love the game, and so if I can be tied into this game as long as possible, minus some of the political stuff, you know how that stuff goes. Yeah, I love basketball, but other than that, I would say real estate, or maybe I'll be like Steph Curry and try to join the PGA Tour or something.
So what's your? I mean, how long you been playing golf?
So I actually started playing golf in college. One of my college teammates, Matt Thomas, was actually a state champion golfer. And summers in summer school, you got to be on campus. And let me tell you, in Iowa, there wasn't much to do when the students weren't on campus. So we would golf during the summers, and it's just a hobby, that I picked up. Obviously in college, drinking is kind of the thing you do. So to be able to, after working out, go get on the course, have some drinks, and play golf. And after a while, you kind of realize, oh, like I may have 20 bad shots, but that one good shot keeps me coming back. So it's something I like to do. I run a charity golf outing. So if any guys,
what's the tell us about it.
The Georges Niange charity golf outing. It's in Ames, Iowa. It's the 6th annual. Proceeds go to a small charity in Ames that help out the Ames community. So it's July 27th. Make sure you all show up.
I love it. You hear that, right? So what's your favorite club in bag?
I'll tell you ones I don't like. I don't like my 3-wood. That's for sure.
Really? Yeah.
Because it's it's like I'll be probably 220 out, and I'll probably hit it 20 yards because I hit the ground first. It's just not my favorite club. So I'm either gonna go with a 5 or a 7. Yeah.
Then the ones you dislike or like?
No, that's I like 5 or a 7, and then my 9-iron would definitely.
What kind of clubs you use?
I got some pings.
My man, the pings. I got the ping 740. That's my play right there. So I started golfing because the NBA had this deal with Ping years ago, where if you was to come, and they would give in Phoenix, they would fit you, give you some lessons, send you home with a bunch of stuff, man. So I went out to Ping headquarters, shout out to Ping, and I said I'll take 3 sets of clubs, including the tour bag, not the regular bag. Tour bag.
Big boy.
Man, I keep one here. I keep one home in Jersey. I was a self-taught golfer, and it was horrible. And this guy told me one day, look, you can be horrible, just be fast. So I was self-taught, man, got pretty good with the irons. But my driver, I was like killing kids and women and children.
He was breaking windows and stuff.
Man, getting lawsuits for breaking windows and car doors. So it was funny. And I played with Byron Scott. Byron Scott was my coach. I said, that's when I really got into it. I played with him with the Hornets. He said, look, MJ, you need to take some goddamn lessons. Take some lessons to that driver. He said, or just don't use it. I said, not paying for them, use it. He said, okay, then take some lessons. Man, true story. It was me, Byron Scott, and Desmond Mason. We played in Oklahoma City because of Katrina, we moved from New Orleans to Oklahoma City. So we playing in Oklahoma City, and I was just playing like crap, man. Byron Scott was like Byron Scott and Desmond Mason are scratch golfers. And we playing this hard course, like 4 out of 5 stars hardness. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. At one point, I took my clubs. I said, F this, man. Into the lake, threw my clubs in the lake. All right, peace, guys. Drove. A month later, the cat got him to my house. The caddy went in the lake, got my clubs, cleaned them, and sent them, and they said, no, don't give up. So I got you story. So, I've been addicted to golf ever since, man. It's all these indoor golf ranges called Fire Ryan and stuff like that. Shout out to the Fitness Club where we at now. Fitness Club has a great
golf simulator,
golf simulator, and I just stay on it, man. I was shooting from the hundreds. Now I'm like between 88 and 90, so it's freaking awesome. But that's that dedication to devotion. So, what are some things about you that people don't know? We know the personality. We know the GQ vibe. We know go get in your face, talk trash. We know the site. What are some things about you that you want people to know about Georges Niange?
Wow. I mean, honestly, I really feel like I'm an open book. You know, I mean, what you see is what you get. But maybe the biggest thing for me is I don't ever look at myself as that I'm any better than anybody else. I like to do the same things that other people like to do, whether that's hanging out, riding a bike in the city, you know, reading on occasion. But I think the biggest thing for me is I am social. I do get along with so many people that I don't think people understand that when you're that social, there is times where I just like being by myself. Like on the road, you're constantly, you know, in a 18,000 person arena. And the time that I get to recharge, I really, you know, relish and enjoy that. So if you catch me not answering your phone call or text, it's probably because I'm trying to, you know, recharge. But other than that, I think I'm a pretty simple, easygoing person. I like to hang out. I like to be with my family when I get the chance to. Uh, I think one of the things that's like a quirky thing that I'm obsessed with is like war documentaries. Like I could sit at home
Really?
and watch stuff about like World War II, World War One, the Iraqi war. Like it's just like something that's just seamless. I don't have to think about it, and I just it's a quirky thing that I was like, I don't know if I want to tell people that I like enjoy this stuff, but it's something I could just watch documentaries on all day.
I'm telling you, like, so for me, one thing about me, like I was always like this outside guy, like it's always out there. But the NBA kind of made me like this. Maybe I got married, had children. I kind of was like this, and unfortunately, I'm divorced, and kind of like I just kind of went back out to say, just being out there and just meeting people. But I'll tell you this: people say it's difficult going from 20,000 people to just going to a few people. Like I don't know how you are, but when you go out to eat stuff like that, do you how do you take in the vibe of being able to just you always been considered as a normal person, which is great, you're
Yeah.
touchable. But how do you in a mindset where you kind of say, all right, I need to kind of transition my mind from being in an arena to being in daily life and living my life? So like war movies, do you think, or just in general, do you believe for you it's important to keep who you are as a person, other than the guy in the uniform?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I try to tell people this without being like two faces. Like I'm two separate people, right? Who I am as a basketball player is not exactly, you know, who I am, you know, as a person. Like basketball is what I do. I love it, yes. And I think the toughest battle for me was coming home and realizing that whatever happens in the basketball game happens in the basketball game. Yes, you could give yourself 15 minutes after the game to be happy, excited, sad, cry, whatever you want. But after that, you need to find happiness in your regular life. And early on, I didn't understand that because when I was in Indiana, I've never got a DNP before in my life. So to be playing in the NBA and not play, you know, I just was miserable all the time. And I didn't realize that, you know, I had to separate the two. Like, yes, people have work lives and people have social lives. And I think, you know, once I figured that out, that, you know, you can have happiness in one and not happiness in the other, but as long as you're working to find happiness in both, you're gonna be fine. But I did struggle early on going from an 18,000 person arena to coming home to like I'm not married. I don't have any kids.
Yeah.
I don't have any attachments. So coming home to myself was like almost like a mind fuck because I was like, how do you go from like screaming, yelling to
Yeah.
just complete silence? It was like for my brain, I couldn't really dial in. And that's why I have those like quirky hobbies that, you
Yeah.
know, can keep my mind stimulated without thinking about, oh my God, I just went from like super high energy to just complete quiet. Cause I don't think any human should have that big of a
Yeah,
discrepancy
bro.
in energy or in vibe. So reading kind of, you know, helped me with like taking some of that idolized time because as you know as an NBA player, yes, you do work out 6 hours out of the day. There is a game that takes up another 6 hours of your life, but you still need to fill that other portion of your life with things that are going to help you be you. And like when I brought up real estate and I brought up, you know, watching history is I want to continue to educate myself, even reading books to fill my mind up because there is time where it could be wasted by, you know, I hate calling guys out, but so many guys play video games, and I'm like, why? You know, like you could be getting ahead in life. So I try to occupy those 4 or 5 hours a day that, I don't have anything going on with stuff that's going to challenge me mentally and, just stimulate my mind from not just being in that 18,000 person arena.
And I think to add on to that, one of the biggest adjustments for me in my life was when I played for my rookie year for Golden State. We talked before, is during preseason when I was like second in the team in scoring, second in rebounding, but I was on a non-guaranteed contract. And
Yeah.
they just signed the whole front line to like
Big
4 or 5 year
deals.
deals. So when I got the right season, it was like DNP, DNP. I'm like,
What's going on?
what's going on? And ironically, one of our first road trips earlier this season was to Philadelphia. I got 40 something tickets expecting to play. I managed like 15-9 in preseason. I got a DNP, bro. And when I went in that locker room, sat in that star, I cried like a baby. It hit so hard. What's the fact that I didn't play? That hurt too, but I've been killing these guys in practice. And I'm busting the ass in practice. To the fact that my team is Larry Hughes, Antoine Jameson, we had Mookie Blaylock was a vet. And Mookie, Mookie was a Southern guy. Like, I don't know why you ain't playing this kid. He killing these guys in practice. He sounded millions too. And it hurt so bad. But then when I went, and it was funny. So apparently the coach heard me kind of upset. So I didn't say, I never went to say nothing to the coach. I went and did my thing. I said, all right, so it just motivated me more. Then we played in New York the next day, played me 30 minutes. And then I had nobody coming because I was like, oh, I ain't coming. Played really well. They got 20 something straight DNPs again. I'm like, oh. And I think that point, my life was all about best. I had nothing else as a
Yeah.
I was like an addict. And I had so many injuries. I had 6 stress fractures in my feet because I never took time off. Like when we practiced, so my thing, and Gil always mentions this in this interview, Gil Arenas, but like me and Gil will come to practice 3 hours early, play one-on-one full court, shoot like 1,000 shots, then practice, play one-on-one full court again, then shoot. So I was always like in the off season, I wore boots. I should have invested in boots because all off season I wore the boots because I had nothing else but basketball. And what you said, now that you are in your frame where you're learning other things to keep your mind occupied, it helps you be balanced.
Yeah.
And sometimes players don't have balance. And I was one of those players.
Yeah.
I was one of the players. So you have any advice for younger kids or younger players or how to balance so they're more well-rounded?
Yeah, no, definitely. For younger kids, I would just say dare to try new things. I think, fear holds a lot of young kids back where they're like, I don't know what people will think of me if I try this and it's not all about basketball and I want to be accepted. But at the end of the day, balance, like you said, is key. You brought up that how you didn't play in Philadelphia and then played 30 minutes the other night. There's things in this game of basketball that were never meant for you to understand. They just happen, right?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And the more you embrace that, buy into that, the better off, your basketball career will be. But if only people knew, like you peel back the curtain about the weird stuff that their favorite players do that their favorite players don't talk about publicly. So when I tell kids to dare to try new things and be different, like not all of us are going to like the same things. Yes, basketball brings us together as a brotherhood, as a community, as teammates. But there's so many different things that, all of us like that other people don't like. So don't feel like you're a one off or you're not going to be welcomed because you like certain things. We all have quirky things. So to find that balance in your real life, I don't know what it is. You may like reading books, you may like going to church, it's picking up trash, volunteer work. I don't know, but find those things that fill your cup up that make you happy outside of basketball. Because at the end of the day, if you do get the luxury of being paid to play basketball, that can't be your everything because there's too many highs, there's too many lows, there's no just steady ground where you want to have your real life, your social life, your family, all that, kind of take up that portion of your cup that fills you with support that's balanced.
Yes, love it. Last question. We're going to leave it here. Now we got to talk about the 76 real quick. We got to talk about it. This is about you, George. But what is your thoughts on the Sixers this season? Your anticipation? How do you feel as though you're gelling? What's your aspirations for the season?
I think the biggest thing for us is, coming into the season, we knew who we were going to have in the locker room. I hate talking about it because, I always get in trouble. There's always a clip, a snippet that gets sent out. So I'm not even going to go into detail about that. But lesson learned, we know who we have in this locker room. And I think the chemistry that we've built over this year of trusting each other, buying in, knowing what helps the team win, knowing the things that we don't need to do, knowing how we need to act as teammates. That's been huge for us. And I've said this before. I think this is the most locked-in team that I've been involved with. So whether you're lifting after games or getting there before practice or really competing in practice or being able to, withstand runs from other teams, I just feel like we're in this together. Obviously, my aspirations are nothing short of an NBA championship, popping a bottle of champagne on Broad Street.
Hell yeah, bro.
But yeah, so I would say a championship is all on the forefront of all of our minds. But as you know, we all know, um, it's one round at a time. It's one game at a time. We still have a bunch of games left in the regular season, based trying to find seeding. But then again, when the playoff starts, a whole new game. And I think we're dialed in and we're ready to and realize that we're gonna have to take it one round at a time against each opponent and win 16 games so that we can hoist up a championship trophy.
All right, so we got a great question for you here. Was it any player that you looked up to that you seen yourself as that player could be me and it made you want to be in the NBA?
Growing up, I loved watching sports. I think the one player that, obviously you grow up, I was an MJ babe. I mean, I grew up,
Ooh.
Michael Jordan's, later half of his career was, when I was growing up. But with that being said, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that, I wasn't obsessed with guys like Tracy McGrady. And then when I realized, that's not really my comparison as a player.
You know, be jumping on buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a guy that's still in the NBA now. I mean, Kevin Love. I was younger. He was a power forward center. Kind of played the rugged way that I did when I was younger, and that was someone that I was like, you know, his game kind of fits the way I think I play. I kind of look like him. So that was someone that I looked up to. It's kind of weird now because I would never tell him hey, bro, I looked up to you. But
Yes.
it's just one of those things where I wouldn't say an idol, but someone that helped you progress in your own way of loving the game. Obviously, Michael Jordan was he was at the forefront of that, and I loved every small part that I got to see of him play when I was younger. Tracy McGrady was amazing, for the time he had in his career. But I would have to say, mixture of those three players: Tracy McGrady, Michael Jordan, Kevin Love, is kind of the reason why I kept going and wanted to play basketball.
Mine when I played was Karl Malone. I wanted to be on the basketball court. I wanted to be Karl Malone. I studied his game. Utah was my favorite team. I knew all their plays. My rookie year, we played against them. I knew every set. I had
You're obsessed, huh?
I had a great game versus Carl. He had a bad game, and then it was set in the paper, and then he played him like a week later, and he killed me. He killed me. So next question: tell me your top 5 NBA players of all time by position.
Oh, so I got to give you a point guard,
Yeah,
shooting guard.
yeah. Pressure zone.
Wow, that's tough. Wow, you're gonna get me in trouble in this one.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so
Okay, and you cannot have a teammate.
that's easy. I wasn't gonna pick one of them. Top 5? With my teammates? Come on, man. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is definitely gonna be my center.
Okay. Oh, well, Will. Oh no.
I mean, I didn't.
Well, that's 15,
TVs
20.
back then.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't get to see it. You know what I mean? I saw
Good point. We all did see Kareem because I didn't see Will play.
Exactly. I'm gonna jump around here. Obviously,
So Kareem.
Yeah, my small forward. Dang, man, is gonna be LeBron James.
LeBron. Okay.
Dang, you are not making this easy.
Yeah.
Shooting guard is gonna be Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Or does he have to be a small forward?
No, he's a shooting guard. He's a
Okay,
shooting guard.
all right.
You got Kareem, LeBron, MJ. You did point and powerful.
I'm gonna have to go with Magic Johnson.
Magic at the point. Here's the one that I struggle with.
Yeah, because you want to say Tim Duncan, but you could throw Kevin Garnett in that one.
Quite a few you could throw in that 4th spot, depending on the time of day.
I can't only give you 4. I gotta give you 5.
You gotta give me that 5th guy.
I'm gonna go with Kevin Garnett.
Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Kareem at the 5, KG.
But that's by position. If I were to give you my,
position.
if I were to give you my 5 players,
give me your 5 players also. It can't be small ball. You got to have a big out of court. Can't be small ball.
You just making up your own rules. So I would go with Kobe, Mike, LeBron. And now I gotta give you a big man.
Mm-hmm. Kobe, Mike, LeBron. This positionless.
Oh, fine. Okay, fine. Bill Russell.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he has enough rings to.
It just may say he maybe classify him as a winner.
Maybe. And I said to someone after what Steph Curry did to lead his team after everything, I'm put him in my top 5.
So if I had to go positionless, I would gotta go with my guy Shaq at the 5. Like Shaq, listen, I gotta go with Shaq. That's my guy. I'm gonna go with Shaq. I'm gonna go Kobe at the 2. That's my little brother I got to. I gotta go with Kobe at 2. I'm gonna go with Magic at the point. I'm gonna go with LeBron. I'm gonna go Karl Malone. That's my 5. I gotta go with Kobe.
You know what? You're right. Karl Malone is a great, foreman that I neglected to.
That's my guy.
mention.
Listen, let me tell you, but with the Shaq. So talking about the physicality of the game, guarding Shaq one time. It was here actually. I was playing for the Sixers. It was here, and Shaq. Shaq would do that hard drop step.
Yeah.
And he pulled me in my mouth. It wasn't intentional because we had a great rapport, but he broke my wisdom tooth in half, and my wisdom tooth was still impacted. But he broke it completely in half, and I spit, and I half my wisdom tooth was in my mouth. Look at the trend, like, is this possible? So after the game, I had to go to Temple Dentist School and they do emergency surgery, remove the rest of my.
So let me get this straight. Someone that did that to you, you're willing to give them the flowers of being in your top 5?
Listen, that was my guy, man. That was we were cool. That's my guy, man. Listen.
No.
Listen, let me tell you. Every time I play against Shaq, I knew I was playing against history. I'm not gonna call no names, but I've had teammates that, and I was a 4, but I also because I had the wingspan, I would guard a 5.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I had about 3 teammates that every time we would play against Shaq, they all of a sudden was sick.
They got the Shaq-itis.
Facts. I mean, I'm not gonna mention my boy Rasho therapist name in Minnesota. That's why I love you. I love you, Rasho, but you had Shaq-itis quite a few times. But I love you, brother. I see you creation this summer. But that's so like. So look, every time I play against Shaq, I was history. I'm like, yo, this game I did keep the wisdom tooth too. But that's another story. But I don't have no boy. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. But Shaq was just big and powerful, was athletic, 350-pound man on the face of the earth. That was my guy. Well, George, once again, appreciate you for being on the show, man.
Absolutely.
All love, bro. Appreciate you, brother. Yes,
yep,
sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.